Hi, so today is about the new Lisa Eldridge lipsticks, and I have also bought their liquid blush, liquid highlight. I wish I could bought the liquid blush, but apparently there's something with their restock or shipping system, so that they couldn't restock the blush on this round. So yeah, no blush. And also their new foundations. Since I don't have foundation on, I thought I would just try this Seamless Skin the Foundation. And this is the light medium side one. I think they have a couple sample card that's available when you buy products on her website. Even if you don't buy anything, you can buy this card for £2 or $2. I'm not exactly sure. And she said you can scan this QR code to see a demo video on this. Says a guide on how to use your sample card and find your perfect foundation match. Because I am pretty good with choosing my own foundation shades, I think I am just gonna fast forward to the application.
So take your chosen shade out of the bubble and pop it on the back of your hand and work from the back of your hand, because you really don't need a lot of this product. So while you're getting used to how much coverage it has, we haven't spoken much about the formula. I'm going to get into that, and I'm definitely going to be making more videos. I'm trying to just focus on testing your colour here. So you can either apply it with fingers or a brush. So we know this one is going to be too yellow for my red chin, but this is the colour that I know is going to cancel out all of that redness and going to sit really well against my neck, which means I won't have to put makeup on my neck. So I'm just building up around the centre of my face. I tend to wear foundation mainly around the centre of my face. You can also apply it using a brush as well. I know that when I was testing the foundation, I sent it to lots of makeup artists, and I'm like, what do you prefer? And most people said fingers or a brush, but then some makeup artists preferred it with a flat brush, which was certainly the case for me, because I'm used to using sort of fluffy brushes, but with this formula, I just found that I'd much prefer a flat brush.
So we're just gonna stop there. She said with your finger or with a flat brush. Don't have a lot of flat foundation brush to choose from. The only thing I have close is this Real Techniques pointed foundation brush. So it's like this, quite small, but I think this could work. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna firstly try this with my finger to see how it works. If it doesn't work, I will use other method to try this. And this is actually quite smart. You just open this card and you can take it like this. I think this shade, which is the shade 11, could be quite nice for me. The other shade, I think this one could be a little bit like light. We don't know. If this one turns out to be too dark, I will mix with this one, which is the number 9. But these two, the number 10 and 12, they're all like too orange or too red for me. And they actually have the shade name on the back. So actually, even though this is just a sample card, it's very, very well made. I think there's 1 to 2 pump worth of product in this. So I'm just gonna take from this little thing like this and try to, well, this looks like it's gonna be a little too light for me, but let's blend. So I think it applies a little bit lighter, the shade, than the shade looks in, like as a liquid form. Just from the first application, it is more. At first I thought this foundation would be a very liquidy foundation, which it's not. It's almost a thicker cream kind of thing. Not too thick, but it's definitely not a very thin product. Quite smooth on the skin. And let's try use a foundation brush. She said to take the product from the back of your hand, so that's what I'm doing. And I never apply foundation with the flat brush, so this is the first time in my whole life to apply foundation like this. But I want to say it's not working too bad. Which on this area, I have a lot of large pores here, so I kind of need to use my finger to tap it in. It's not like settle into the pores or anything. Because it's Lisa Eldridge, you all know her like very glowy base. But surprisingly enough, this foundation is not a very glowy finish. It's mostly like a satin, like skin kind of finish. You can see this side is even more glowy than this side I have applied the product. It's almost mattifying a little bit, but it's not a flat matte finish. It's, like I said, it's more of a satin. It's not settle into the pores. It's not emphasizing the dryness, which I used retinol yesterday evening, so I might have a little bit of dry patches, but it is not showing. Yeah, I have to say it's pretty nice, and the coverage is about a medium coverage, which is definitely more than what I expect. For the name and for her kind of style of makeup, I thought this one would be some sort of like a sheer or more of a tinted moisturizer kind of thing, but it's definitely not. It's like a medium coverage satin foundation. And like I said, it's quite smooth looking. And weirdly enough, she didn't mention the application with a sponge, which these days a lot of people use foundation with their sponges, right? Now let's bring you a little closer. This side I didn't apply anything, it's just skincare and SPF, and this side is applied a light layer, I would say, of the Lisa Eldridge foundation. I want to say it's pretty smooth. It doesn't settle into my pores. Lisa has said this is a self-setting foundation, and now it's definitely set. It's not like fully dry to the touch like a matte powder set foundation kind of feeling, but it's definitely not sticky. So now we have already see the application with the finger and with the brush. They both worked. Let's try with a sponge. And also, this patch of foundation left on my hand is fully set. You can see I'm rubbing my finger on it, but I'm not able to blend it because it's set. Maybe I shouldn't try this with the sponge because she didn't mention to use it with a sponge, but I think this is a lot of people's preferred way of applying foundation, so I might just trying it anyway. I would have to say it is not as smooth looking as this side, like at all. It's not like it's looking very bad or anything, it's just not as smooth. While I am applying foundation on this side, I have noticed a little bit change on this side, which I don't know if you can tell. Maybe you cannot, but it's settling into the pores here a little bit. A lot of foundation does this on me, so this is not like a rare situation for me. But I did expect a little more from Lisa Eldridge. Maybe that's because I was using retinol, but I didn't notice a lot of like flaky skin or very dry skin situation this morning. My skin was pretty like nice this morning. So I don't know how I feel about this foundation. I might have to like let this foundation sit a little bit longer while I try other products, and we will come back and see how this look at the end of this video. So the next is her liquid highlight. This is the Elevated Glow in the shade Cosmic Rose. Actually, yesterday I have tried this on my hand, and I feel like this is really a very special formula. It doesn't look like it has a lot of big shimmer particles in it, but it's very high shine. But it does set on itself. When it sets, it still looks very luminous, but it's not sticky to the touch. I think this is a very cool product because I rarely see a self-setting highlight, but I think that is definitely what I need, because sometimes I don't want to set powder on my liquid highlight to mess or to cover the finish, the glowy finish, but sometimes it's just very sticky and it's not very comfortable to wear it just on itself. So yeah, this is definitely a very nice formula. I do really like this, and I think it will be looking quite nice as a primer as well, because the very skin finish kind of glow. There is no like very shimmery stuff in this by any means. It's just very smooth, very glass-liking skin. Very Lisa Eldridge. I actually also want to see how this applies on the powdered skin, because the foundation is a self-setting foundation, so I don't want to put anything on the foundation, but I want to set just the highlight area a little bit, like just this area, so it won't mess too much with the foundation. And right now let's apply it again to see how it works. I think it's almost making the finish a little bit more glowy, but I do prefer this on the unset foundation, because now it's looking not cakey, but it's looking more of like a shimmery highlight kind of thing. So yeah, I do prefer it just on the foundation. Now I have applied other products on my face. I think I have a little bit thoughts on this foundation. Even it's a self-setting foundation, it's not fully self-setting. With that being said, it's not fully smooth because it's not a very powdery kind of finish. It doesn't stick anything onto it, but your blush won't apply or blend the way if you would apply it on a powdered face. So you do need a little bit more blending on the like blush, on the powder blush kind of part. Like I actually tried quite hard to blend this blush, and normally this is not a hard to blend formula. So yeah, let's try other products, which is her lipstick. So the color I have got is Velvet Blush Lightly, Intrige, Dragon, and Fawn. Actually, I would love to also purchase the other new shades like the Cinnabar and the shade Petal, but those are out of stock when I get onto the website, so yeah, actually I wasn't even going to purchase any shade from this line because nowadays I just don't use lipstick enough to buy new things. But I watched Lisa Eldridge's video and I was like, when I was jump into the video, I was like, I'm not gonna need anything. And when I finished watching the video, I was like, I need every new shade. But the fact that I couldn't get them all, so I'm just gonna show you what I have got. And also the Velvet Blush Lightly, I think this could be similar to other shades. So I will compare this color to the shade Velvet Beauty, which I think it could be similar, and also the original Velvet Blush shade. So let's start with the color Velvet Intrigue. It's a very smooth, like almost like a mousse kind of feeling. And the Velvet Intrigue is more of a peachy, pinky nude. After warm up this formula on the hand, is very easy to apply. I think it applies quite nicely, very smooth. I don't even think you need a lip liner to pair with this formula because it's just very smooth and easy to apply. It's just good with itself. I do think this color washes me out a little bit, but not too much. A lot of color that is in this color washes me out in a way that it makes my complexion looks ashy. Because you know, with olive skin tone, you have a little bit of green, almost green in your skin. So this kind of peachy, very pale kind of color could easily like emphasize that little tinge of green in your face and makes you look a little bit dead or a little bit, like I said, ashy, but this one is not. On to the next shade, which I want to try the shade Fawn. This is actually a quite old shade. I think this is in her first launch, so quite a few years ago. Let's see how different it is compared to this Velvet Intrigue shade. I want to say it's pretty similar. It's very, very, very similar. Just the Velvet Fawn shade a little bit cooler. A little bit on cooler side, like you can see, but they're not all that different. And this shade as well apply very nicely, very smooth. They are very consistent with their formula. I would say this Velvet Fawn shade actually complements my skin a little bit more. I think it's because it has less of those orange or like peachy tone. This is more nude, like more neutral kind of shade. So it really works better for me right now. Even though it's just a subtle difference, but I think it makes a big difference on my skin. And I think that is why it's so hard for somebody to choose the right nude for them, because a little bit of the tone change, it could be look so different on your skin. Let's try the shade Blush Lightly. Oh, this is more of a mauve shade, more pink and deeper, but definitely the same color family, I would say. This kind of color, I would say, I don't wear as much these days, this very like pinky mauve shade, but I do think it's a quite nice color. A lot of like grayish mauve color don't look good on my olive skin tone. It makes me look like aged in a very weird way, not very nice like mature chic way, no. Just make me looks in like very awful like aged way, but this one is not. This one is a very young kind of almost like a flower petal kind of shade. I think this shade could be more make more sense if it's called petal, because for me this is more of a rose petal kind of color. I really like this one actually. And let's compare to the original Velvet Beauty shade. And this is original Velvet Beauty shade. I don't think they are that different. Let me just remove half of this lip color to see how they are different on the lip. This is the original Beauty shade. I would say, of course, they're different. This one is a little bit darker, a lot more like purple tone in it. But I do think they are pretty similar. Actually, I like them both, but I don't know if it's worth it to purchase both. But with that being said, I am happy I have both. And there's another shade I think could be a little bit close to this shade, which is the shade Velvet Muse. This is in their second launch, if I'm not wrong. Maybe it's in the first, I don't remember. But I think this is in the same family. Right, I would say they are pretty close. You know what, it's very close to the shade Fawn. It's a little bit deeper than the shade Fawn. And it's a little bit more brown than the Blush Lightly shade. So yeah, I think Lisa is very into the pinky nude. So a lot of shades she has created are all in that pinky nude kind of shade family. I have loved this shade for a long time. It's a very nice neutral pink, but a little bit deeper kind of nude. It's very mature in a nice way of mature. It makes you look very chic, like a very calm kind of shade. I really like this one, but I also very love like all of the other shades. Okay, the next would be Velvet Jazz. Because I didn't buy this shade last year, it's a new shade for me. Let me swatch. It's very different than the every other shade. A very warm orange red. I think for me this is more of a spring and summer kind of shade, but I do think it brightens up my complexion quite a bit. And a lot of this kind of orange lip color makes your teeth look quite yellow, but this shade does not. It's quite nice on like my skin in all of the way. And I actually would love to see how this is different with the shade Ribbon. This is the shade Velvet Ribbon. It's a true red. Oh yeah, this is so different. I didn't thought it would be this different. It's almost looking like a pink next to the dragon shade. And this shade, the Velvet Jazz shade. Oh, this is very different as well. I thought these two would be a little bit similar, but they are not at all. I would say I am pretty happy with all of the shades. The only thing I want to say is just I don't think you need both of the Blush Lightly and the original blush shade. They are quite similar. So if you have one, I don't think you need another. If you want to choose one, just choose one depending on what you preference. Okay, let's just see how the foundation is looking right now. Actually, you know what? This is kind of looking nicer than last time. I think maybe my oil is like kind of peeking through a little bit during we swatch the other shades, which is about half an hour ago. This situation of the pores is looking quite a lot better, but I have to say this half I applied with sponge. Even though it's getting better on this side as well, it's still not as smooth looking as it is on this side. So for me, I would definitely say don't use this with a sponge. It's not as smooth looking. So her demo video is definitely right. You should use your finger or a brush. So my final thought on this foundation, I don't know if I would buy this because I have a skin that's quite hard to work with. Most of foundation, like more than half of the foundation I have tried, have settled into my pores and looking very bad. And this foundation, even though it's going a little better, it's still emphasizing it just a hint. I think if you are like me, you have a very big pores, foundation settle into your skin very easily, you should at least purchase a sample card before you buy this foundation. Just try it. But at this area where I don't have a lot of pores, it's looking very nice, very smooth. Like it says, it's seamless. I think this is for the skin type that will want a self-setting, very smooth looking kind of foundation, but you don't have a very big problem with your pores. And I think you could enjoy this foundation because it is a very nice formula. You really don't have to set this one. It really sets on itself. They are not lying about that. But with that being said, I still am not decided should I buy the full size or not, because this is really very nice looking on most part of my skin. I think I will try this a couple times more to decide. I think she said this foundation is launching the next month. I still have quite some time to try this beforehand, and I am really appreciate her to providing this option for us, because now it's very hard to try product, especially foundation, on the counter, because they don't offer that to us anymore. Even we don't have the problem with COVID, they don't have a counter all around the world. If you are outside of the UK, you don't get access to their like a pop-up store, right? So yeah, I really like that. I really appreciate she decided to give us a chance before we actually buy the foundation to try if this is really for us. That's all I have to say. Thank you for watching.